I still can't stop thinking about that night. It's been months, but sometimes I wake up hearing the sound of that box sliding open, the hinges creaking, the smell that hit me before I even saw what was inside. I used to think my best friend was the only person who really understood me. Now I don't know if I ever understood him at all. His name was Evan. We grew up together, two kids from a small town where nothing exciting ever happened. We met in second grade when he tripped over my backpack, dropped his lunch, and I split mine with him. From that day on, we were inseparable. We built forts, skipped rocks, and dreamed about leaving our boring little town one day and doing something that mattered. He was like the brother I never had. Evan wasn't popular, but he didn't care. He was weird in a way that people either loved or avoided. He could talk for hours about old buildings, abandoned places, or how objects carry memories. That was his favorite phrase, objects carry memories. I thought it was just one of those poetic things quiet people say. We stayed friends through high school and even after I went to college. I came home one summer to help him pack up his mom's house after she passed away. She'd been sick for years, and he took care of her alone. The house was filled with boxes of old toys, photographs, and her collections of random antiques. He said she used to tell him every object had a story. I didn't think much of it then. After she died, he bought this old farmhouse outside of town. Big place, cracked windows, overgrown yard. He said it was going to be his fresh start. I helped him paint, fix wiring, replace doors. He seemed better. He smiled more. But sometimes, when we worked late, I'd catch him staring at nothing, like he was listening to something only he could hear. One night while we were sanding the floorboards, I joked that the house was haunted. He looked up and said, completely serious, "It is. You just have to know how to listen." At first, I thought he was being poetic again. But as months went by, he started spending more and more time in the basement. He disappeared down there for hours. I'd hear clanking, sawing, sometimes whispering. When I asked, he said, "I'm restoring something." When I asked what, he smiled and said, "You'll see when it's done." He got more secretive. Started locking the basement door. Then one day a new padlock appeared, thick, industrial, with 2 bolts. I laughed and asked what he was hiding, and he just said, "You wouldn't understand." That should have been the first moment I realized something was really wrong. But I didn't want to pry. I thought he was grieving in his own way. Then animals started going missing. The first was his neighbor's cat. Then a dog from 3 houses down. Then another. The whole neighborhood was buzzing about it, people posting on Facebook, putting up flyers. Evan acted like he didn't care. He even joked maybe the house ate them. A few days later, he texted me, "Don't come over tonight. Basement's a mess." That was weird because I hadn't planned to come over. 2 days later, I stopped by to drop off a package that got delivered to my address by mistake. He wasn't home, but the front door was unlocked. I walked in and set the box on the kitchen table. That's when I heard it, a low humming sound coming from below. Not machinery. It sounded human. I froze. "Evan," I called out. No answer. I walked toward the basement. The padlock was hanging open. I told myself I was just checking to make sure everything was okay. But deep down, I already knew I shouldn't go down there. The smell hit me first, sharp, metallic, and rotten. My flashlight beam cut through the dust. The walls were lined with shelves full of jars, tools, and piles of notebooks. Pages filled with his handwriting, words repeated over and over like a mantra. Objects remember. Capture them before they fade. Then I saw the table. And the box. It was wooden, sealed with rusted nails. The humming sound was louder down there, not from the box, but from a small radio crackling on a shelf. The sound made my skin crawl. My hands were shaking when I grabbed a crowbar from the floor and pried the lid open. Inside was fur. Pieces of something that used to be alive. A collar. A Polaroid photo tied with string, A photo of a cat. The same cat from the missing poster. Under that was another photo. A girl, maybe 15. Blonde hair, bright smile, school uniform. The name on the back was smudged out. I felt like I couldn't breathe. I turned around, and that's when I noticed the camera in the corner. A tripod, light blinking red, recording the entire time. I didn't think. I just ran. I called the police from my car, still shaking. I told them what I'd found, gave them the address, told them they needed to hurry. They told me to stay where I was. I sat there until I saw the flashing lights pulling up. They brought Evan out in handcuffs about an hour later. I'll never forget the look on his face, calm, almost disappointed. Like he'd been caught doing something trivial. He saw me sitting on the curb and he smiled. He actually smiled. When the police went through his house, they found boxes. Dozens of them. Photos, videos, recordings. Not just animals, people. He'd been documenting them for years. Following them. Recording. Collecting. Some of the photos went back more than a decade. They said he called it archiving. They said he believed memories could be preserved if you captured the right details, the last moment something was alive, the energy it left behind. That's what he told the police. That's what he'd written in his notebooks. I spent hours in the station answering questions. I told them everything, the weird comments, the padlock, the smell, the humming. One of the detectives told me quietly, "You saved lives tonight." But it didn't feel like that. It felt like betrayal. Evan was my best friend. We'd spent almost every year of our lives together. I knew everything about him, or at least I thought I did. Now I can't tell if any of those memories were real, or just part of something darker he was constructing all along. A week later, I started getting letters. From him. The first one said, "You misunderstood. It wasn't evil. It was art." The second said, "You destroyed everything I built, and for what? To feel safe." I stopped reading them after that. His father showed up at my door once, too. He looked exhausted. He told me Evan wasn't a monster, just troubled. He said I should have come to them first, that maybe he could have gotten help. I asked, "Would you have believed me if I told you what I saw?" He didn't answer. He just looked down and said, "You didn't see my son, you saw what the world made him." Now, every time I walk past an old building or see a camera on a tripod, I get chills. I still dream about that basement. About the jars, the notebooks, the smell. I hear the creak of that box opening and wake up gasping. People in town still whisper when they see me. Some think I'm brave. Others say I betrayed him. That I could have handled it quietly, spared the embarrassment, gotten him treatment. But I can't stop thinking, what if I hadn't gone over that night? What if the padlock had held shut? What if the next box wasn't an animal? Sometimes I replay our last normal conversation in my head. I remember asking him why he liked collecting things. He said, because everything fades if you don't keep a piece of it. Now I know what he meant. And it makes my blood run cold. So tell me, am I wrong for turning in my best friend after what I found in his basement?